Okay, and we are live. Perfect.
Okay.
So let's see. This week, we had to check out the ASU charter as one of our assignments. So it said to read or watch the videos on Arizona State University's fairly new charter and think about any unifying visions that accompany it. Comment on some aspects of these visions as they relate to our readings, as well as your own dreams or aspirations regarding ASU. How did you guys like that charter?
I liked it. It was, gosh, I watched it right. I think I watched it right after our last meeting, trying to get ahead. But yeah, I don't know. I have nothing negative to say about ASU. Period. It has been such a great experience.
I have to agree with you. Sometimes, since we have the Starbucks College Achievement Plan, sometimes partners will be like, well, I don't know, online class, like this could be weird. And I'm just like, just sign up and try it, will you? It's amazing.
I know, especially since you guys are covered through work.
Yeah, that's amazing. And even though like it's online, like here we are still like visiting and being able to work together, like we still get to deal with like other people. You're not just dealing with the computer screen.
Right.
Yeah, that is nice.
Yeah. Because I mean, I work full time. I don't know. I know you work full time, Monica. Danielle, do you work full time?
I do.
Yeah. So online is the only way I could do it, with my job. Like that's the only option for me. So.
Yeah, just the success rate is so high.
Yeah, for sure.
Rate. I mean, so many other schools have a high dropout rate, but I feel like the ASU has covered so many bases for help. I mean, literally a phone call away.
Yeah.
I've called a few times over tech support and to schedule counseling appointments, and I used the writing lab once. So I've
never done the writing lab. I might need to check that out. Well, no, I'm almost done.
With that, you just got to submit the paper about 5 days prior.
Oh, okay.
So review it. Yeah, but they're really helpful. And I have reached out to several times throughout because I'm super nervous with the cost of student loans I'm accruing. I cannot afford to mess anything up.
No,
but they've made everything so accessible.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. I like that you don't even have to call too, that you can just do it like all
online.
Like a conversation, like messaging online, which is nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Once I ordered books, and I always order my books so far in advance. I was starting to freak out because I was like, oh my God, class starts next week and I don't have any books. And so I ended up contacting, how every semester you get an email from like the success coach or whatever, and I rarely use it. But that time I was like, hey, I don't know where my books are and I'm going to have a panic attack if I don't get them. And she legitimately went through and went back, found my receipt, made sure that the books had shipped, and they had, but God only knows where they went off to. So she got me a second set and made sure that I have everything. Yeah, it was pretty awesome. I didn't expect that level of support.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they could do that, actually.
So with the video for the ASU charter, I loved that it began with a statement. It said, there's no reason to hold anyone back. College may not be for everyone, but learning is for everyone.
Everyone. Yes.
Yeah.
I loved that too. And I actually went to work and said it that night. Because I have so many people who have no desire or thirst to learn. And I shared that with my supervisor, and she loved it because she's very supportive of people going back to school at a later age. And she said, it's sad, but I'm glad that I don't push it on people, but I really share my experience. And it's true, learning is for everyone. It doesn't have to be college, it can be any skill, any type of trade, just reading, just finding out facts about topics, just using your brain.
Agreed. I wish more people thought like that.
It kind of reminded me of last week when we were talking about growth mindset. and how important it is to continuously learn. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then they also said something, the goal is to create people that have a major impact on humanity. We're an adaptive university, not a rigid university. So I thought that was really cool because another thing that they said was like once you teach something, once you have that curriculum set up and then you go and teach it, it's probably going to be outdated. Hi, LaSalle.
Hey, LaSalle.
Hey.
Hello.
Hi, you're commuting. You're in the car.
I'm sorry that I'm late. I'm actually
No problem.
transit from work.
Understandable.
Yeah, no worries.
I ride the bus into town from a park ride line, and I'm running a little late today.
Oh, yeah, that's out of your control for sure.
Yeah.
No worries.
Well, we're glad you're here. You're just talking about the charter video.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things that I was sharing was that in the video, ASU was talking about being an adaptive university, not a rigid university. And they shared that once they come up with like the curriculum and they're able to teach it, it's out of date, or it could be out of date. And so what they're teaching instead is like not only the curriculum, but that that adaptiveness so that people can learn to move with what's happening in life. So I thought that was pretty cool. It took me a long time to learn to embrace change. And it came to a point where I was working at Starbucks and I was just pissed all the time because it's like every week there's something new going on or whatever. And I finally learned to embrace it. But I thought that was really cool because a lot of people, don't like change at all. But it's important.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's scary. Change is scary. And when it's constant and coming from different directions, like if you have several classes and you work, and you almost feel like you can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's constantly changing and moving, and it gets to be kind of exhausting if you fight it. So I wrote that in this project for tonight for OGL 481 that this process has taught me to adapt, to be flexible, and to roll with last minute changes and have a good attitude about it. Because if you have these issues come up at the last minute where you got to change and your attitude really sucks, then that's already putting you on a negative mindset. And, it just starts off on the wrong foot. So, I have learned that because I've been very systematic, very logic, like everything's planned. And these are my time frames, and this is what I'm doing this time. And it really has taught me how to just roll with it and accept the changes and learn from it.
Yeah. At a certain point, I felt like I was only torturing myself by having that negative mindset. I'm like, I can't keep doing this to myself anymore.
Yeah, for sure. It's not healthy either to be like negative all the time either.
Right.
I found that changes your health a lot.
Yeah,
That's a
you're
good
right.
point.
Yeah, we have to forgive ourselves a little bit of leeway when we want to be rigid. So we can get into this mindset, especially when you're a performance-minded person. You knock off all these check boxes. I'm a checkbox type of person.
Yeah.
I'm a day planner. I want to see progress. But when it doesn't work out, I've had to learn to just, forgive myself for life. Life happens, and you roll with the punches as best as you can.
So true.
Yep. Totally agree.
So one of the other points, I kind of have 3 points here that they talk about in the video. One was inclusion and success of our students. So that meant something to me. I've been a part of groups through work, and I've been a part of groups through school for years. Prior to going to ASU, I spent darn near a decade in community college because I couldn't figure out what I was doing, and I was just like exploring with all these classes, and I hated group work. It was so awful. But I have to say, ASU, the first couple experiences that I had, I was like, well, I don't know, this could be okay. But now, I don't get that pit in my stomach anymore, because it does seem like other students at ASU are genuinely interested in learning and growing and helping each other do that. So that spoke to the inclusion and success of our students. If faculty and staff and Arizona State University wants that, then it's clear to me that they're successful in that, because I received that from you guys, from the classmates that I have. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, no, I feel like I always get nervous at the beginning of a class because you read the syllabus and it sounds super strict and overwhelming and very rigid. And then as you start the class and you reach out to your instructors for questions or, problems that arise, the response you get is totally different.
Totally different.
You feel the very human side, and they're willing to work with you, and they understand that life happens and give you some sort of alternative. And it goes hand in hand with ASU and this charter, that the adaptability and everything that they're about and want to support. I love it.
Yeah, and I feel like when you mentioned the syllabuses, like I feel like they're all the same, like all the policies, but then each instructor is so different, and they really don't go with the syllabus. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's a lot. It's just it's funny how it sounds in the syllabus, and then when you actually speak with the instructor, you're like, did this person even write that?
Yeah.
So that's been nice, because working full time and stuff, it is. Sometimes I can't meet all the deadlines, and they've always been really helpful and worked with you,
And I appreciate that they make light of things. I've had several classes that, like this class is tons of work, but she puts funny little videos and quotes and something that really helps you when you're sitting in front of that computer at home, already exhausted, trying to stay up and do homework and wondering, am I getting this? Is this going okay? I don't want to do the whole assignment wrong. And then you see just little pieces of their actual personality and stuff. And it really helps. It helps me.
I agree. I like that.
Yeah, those help break up the monotony of like writing papers and reading and all that crazy stuff. I have been enjoying that quite a bit.
Yes.
So the second point in the video that really stood out to me was their goal to impact the public good. They said one of the things that they have to ask is, did we impact our community or not in a measurable way? So I'm pretty introverted. It takes a lot for me to be on the floor at work and to make those connections with customers. And I'm constantly like talking to my team and providing coaching for them or celebrating their wins. So that can be a lot for me. But even though there's days that I don't really want to do that, I remember that Starbucks shared a video with us probably a couple years ago when we started talking about the North Star experience. And there was a lady on there, and she was just sharing her experience that she had. And she said, every day I go in there and I get a cup of coffee, but it's not really about the coffee. It's about that connection that I've made with the baristas there. And so, like I said, even though I'm an introvert, asking myself like what I do here, I don't just make coffee. It's my job to impact other people in a positive way, whether that's getting them their cup of coffee and getting them out for the day, or, I can support a barista in one thing or another that they need. So sometimes I have to remind myself, like, yes, I'm doing something good. It's making someone else's day better. So yeah, I'm impacting the public good. How do you guys feel about that? Like ASU's goal to impact public good?
I mean, I really agree with their view, but through ASU, like I wish I was located in Arizona or was able to be a student going to campus so I could see it, to not grasp it, but just to see it being, to see it happening. But I definitely agree with that. The impact on the community is huge. It's very important. But I don't because I'm not there and I'm not involved in any groups. I don't know exactly how it's panning out.
Okay.
That's a good observation. It is difficult when you're an online student to really feel the same type of connection with the university that you think you might have if you were on campus. But at the same time, I know in many of the classes I've taken so far, especially in the concentration of organizational leadership, that I've had a couple of professors that really fixated on the notion that we are all connected, that we are part of a larger community that goes beyond what our individual goals are or our individual mind, better as a connected type of society. And so I try to take that with me, just like you, Danielle. I'm an introvert. I find it very difficult to not just put my head down at my job and really just focus on my work and try to engage other people. But I've learned over the course of time that you never know what type of effect you're having on another person simply by just being authentic and just sharing your life stories and just trying to connect with the people around you. So I get out of my shell and I try to really engage my coworkers and the customers that I interact with from day to day, because we all add value to one another, and we're better when we try to have a better society together. And with the divisiveness you see, especially in political climate today, I think we understand now more how important that is to try to find where we're aligned and not fixate on where we're divided.
That is so true, so important, and so true. You put it perfectly. You said it well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love what you said about we're better connected together, and you never know what kind of an impact you're going to have on someone's day, just from the interaction that you have with them. I get a little feisty when I drive, so I have to remind myself that sometimes. Like, calm down. It's not intentional.
I like that.
So the third point that they made in the video was responsibility for a broader community. That was kind of hard for me to connect like ASU to, and I think it goes back to what you said, Monica, about we're not physically present there, so we can't see, probably some of the stuff that they're doing. Like, I'm sure there's community boards with events going on or different projects. Excuse me. So for me, I think that comes down to like teachers and students and what we're willing to do to help the broader community. And sometimes that's just making that simple connection with someone to make sure that, they're going to have a good day, maybe a better day than they had yesterday. But also community service. And Starbucks is huge on community service, but in the district that I was in California when I lived there, it was interesting because 5 years ago, we didn't really focus on community service, but, the company corporate was like, yeah, community service, everything. And I'm like, I have never in my life done any community service with Starbucks. So there was a year where I'm not going to lie, I was getting ready to promote and I wanted to make myself look good. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do a community service event. So I just kind of thought about what was close to my heart. And one of the things that my mom and I used to do all the time when I was a kid was we would go into the backyard and there was a creek and we'd play in the creek. But as I grew up, like, we were just constantly picking up trash out of the creek that had come downstream from wherever else. And so I found a community service event called Creek Week Cleanup in Sacramento. And I was all kinds of excited about it. And the first year, I think I had like 5 people come out, and I was like, okay, so this is not as much fun as I thought it was going to be. But I kept doing it every year because I did actually have a lot of fun. And it ended up going on it's still going on today. I don't do it anymore because I don't live there, but another one of my team members does it still. And the last year that I was there, we had 65 people come out in the pouring rain to pick up trash.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so cool. See, you totally impacted the community there.
So
oh my gosh.
That's where
5 to 5. And you're not even there. You left your legacy.
I was a little upset. I was like, what do you mean Creek Week is happening without me? That's not cool. I was like, all right, I guess you can have it. But I think that's what it comes down to are those little things that we can do as students or professors or whatever it might be to try to do the best that we can for our communities. So if there's something bigger happening at ASU that we're not seeing, then I guess that's what responsibility for the broader community means to me.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, I think I feel after this class and another class I took that really promoted the sense of community. When I have more time, I would love to get more involved. And once I'm done with school, through work, through some community activities and events at work. And I mean, there are all types of things from mentoring kids to attending classes with the other adults, you know, parenting classes, helping them have the strength to stand up to their kids and discipline them and be on them. And I mean, we have all types of things, but I have just had no time over the last few years with this. But I do feel like I want to get more involved. I think it's important.
That would be fantastic. I love that you connect it to your work too, like helping parents learn how to discipline their children, you know?
That's right. Like it worked for me. By the time parents call looking for their kids, you know, maybe they're 18, 21 or whatever, they're already in trouble. You know, they've already been in trouble. But they have another chance, you know, once they get out, or they've got 4 younger kids still at home. So stuff like that, it is important. And I think I notice it more now that I'm more open-minded, and I see things very differently now. I think maybe I was a little bit more sheltered before this college life, this university life. I was more sheltered and just in my own little realm of what I know. So this has broadened my mind.
So I can't remember because there's so much going on, but was it this class where we were talking about being proactive rather than reactive?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, or was that my project management class? But I love that you bring that in, you know, by the time you get people in the system, then they're already in trouble. So doing a volunteer effort to be more proactive to try to keep them out in the first place is amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Our department runs Citizens Academy to try and inform, and it costs it's a 10-week course, and then they get like a 2-week break. And then another 10-week course starts, and it covers a lot of those type of topics, you know. So I think that's great. Our department is becoming very community oriented and proactive, and it's great to see the turnout of people that are showing up, because the people who run the program, they have full-time jobs. They do this all in evenings, just by adjusting their schedule or volunteering. But I mean, it is important, you know.
That's awesome. I actually heard about that. We have something similar in Utah, but with work and school, I've been so busy that I'm like, forget that for now. But but that is something that I've been looking into, like interested in to do in the future. So that's cool. I'm glad to hear on your end that it's a neat program.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
So what did responsibility for the broader community mean to you guys, LaSalle and Jade?
Well,
Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm so busy that I don't have time to bring anything else into my life like all of you.
Yeah.
But I have been thinking about it, and I'm like, I really want to see my grandma. She used to volunteer at this place. It's like, I don't know, 30 minutes from our house, but it's like this ranch, and it's special needs kids, and you just go, and they have like horses and these little children look forward to it every single summer. And so my grandma used to volunteer. She's now passed away. And so for the last 3 years, I've been really wanting to go out there and do what she was doing. And now that my son's a little bit older, now he can go with me. But I just don't have time. I just haven't been able to do it. But when I do graduate, that is my goal for next summer, is to start doing that. I think I would enjoy it. Dayton would enjoy it. And I just got to have the time to do it.
Yeah, time is huge. That sounds like such a fun thing. That's awesome.
What's that? This fly is attacking me.
Yeah. Oh, that must have been the fly attacking me earlier.
I hate flies. Anyway, so that is my goal. It's just right now I'm just focusing on this, pushing through this, finishing, and then working on that.
Yeah, one thing at a time, seriously.
Yeah, for sure. As you're eating your lunch on your lunch break.
Yeah, don't mind me, just eating some turkey.
Right.
What about you, LaSalle? How do you think the ASU connects with the broader community?
Well, I think that really the values I've seen from ASU primarily is getting a lot more people access to the table. And so ASU is a large university, has over 100,000 students. Starbucks added a lot of value by giving a lot more people that would not have access to education a chance to add value to their communities by learning more, learning bigger concepts of leadership, and going out into those spaces all over the country and the world, and doing better work with a more informed aspect toward leading people and communicating with others. And that's what I like most about the time I've spent at ASU so far. And I've embraced that. I don't have any personal projects that I'm working on right now either, because all just like Jade, I'm trying to get out of ASU. But I have a passion toward connecting people that don't know how to communicate well with one another. And so a lot of the things that I've studied have been in mediation, and I've worked with kids in the past, just offering them tools on how to with one another, and hopefully they continue to do that. We don't do a good job sometimes of really giving people the tools that they need to not just vent in anger or be frustrated or be emotionally charged and say the wrong thing to another person. We're better than that, and hopefully I can spend some time really continuing to work with kids on how to be better, and take a deep breath, understand that we all have different perspectives toward things. How can we and be honest with one another, but at the same each other. I think the ASU does too. I've seen that they've offered classes over the last couple of years on, just how to not be a jerk to one another, how to speak to each other in an honest but a measured and calm way, and that serves humanity well. And so,
yes, it does.
They continue to do that, and I hope the work that they continue doing that as well.
I like it.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a really good point on how ASU does connect with the broader community. I mean, we're all here trying to improve ourselves, but through improving ourselves, think about all the other people that we can impact with what we've learned,
Yeah, I like that ASU is inclusive, and they're giving a lot of opportunities. And it's not just the select few that can afford a $30,000 institution, everybody can participate and get a degree, and that's what I like about ASU's mission.
Yes.
Great.
I think she had to get the phone.
Yep.
Sorry, that was my work phone ringing.
Yeah.
That's what
Life
happens
as
after
a
work.
manager is never over.
No, it's not. So, how did you guys like the film Selma?
Oh my gosh, I loved it.
It was great. I'd never seen it.
Really?
I never
No, I didn't either.
But I really enjoyed it.
Me too. It was there was so much. It was just done so well. It just filled you with emotion, and the rest of the week, because I woke up early one day for work just to watch it before I went to work, and I mean, yeah, it just resonated in my mind, and I was just I feel like I don't know that type of behavior and that world and that type of corruption and hatred, And I was talking to my mom about it, and my mom grew up in North Carolina until she was 11 years old, and she moved here. And she says, as a kid, she can remember stuff like that.
Really?
And yes. And I was like, what? And she said, yeah, I can remember. And it was awful. As a kid, you just want to play with each other. You just want to sit next to each other and, be in line together at the drinking fountain. And she said, it wasn't like that. It was not how you live today. And I could not believe it. Like, because that seemed so far off for me, But I thought the movie was wonderfully done, and the cast was excellent. And I thought that is just a little snippet. That's just a little tiny snippet. That's just one event for one cause there. And there's so many other things. And I thought, oh my gosh, I need to start getting more educated about things, because it just stuck in my mind. I was thinking about it for days, and it really changed my perception of so many things, So, it was powerful.
It was a very powerful movie. I had a hard time watching parts of it,
yes,
the scenes, and that was just hard because it's like you said, it's not something we're used to, and these people lived like this for a long, long time, and it was hard. I cried a little bit.
I cried a couple times. Yeah.
This is the second time that I've watched it for school, and I remember I think I may have taken one of Professor Flight's classes before, and maybe I watched it there. I don't know. But the first time I watched it, I remember having to pause the movie and get up and go get a roll of toilet paper because I was crying. And then this time I was like, hey, I'm going to be ready with my roll of toilet paper so that I can just cry. And a couple times I'm sitting there like, oh, my eyes. But it was, I can't believe, just like you guys, it's not something that we see every day now. Or at least it's not in our face, I guess, as much as it used to be. But it really just kind of makes me think, what are we doing to make sure that everybody is treated equally and well taken care of? Like LaSalle said, having that connectedness as a society makes us better. And with all the crazy things that go on today, we can't let that get in the way of just being decent people, So that movie, every time I watch it, reminds me of that. Like, okay, well, how are you acting? How are you making sure that you're not going to be someone that's, ruining someone's life? So.
I thought it was strange too, how the president just let it go on. He didn't want to change something. He didn't want to change it, and that was That was strange to me because I feel like that wouldn't happen nowadays. You know, like I don't know.
He was so condescending.
Yeah, he was just
one way with Dr. Martin Luther, and then he didn't want to budge and betray his friends and his side.
Yeah,
instead of separating himself and doing what's right, I felt like he was just so two-faced and condescending and just, a hypocrite. I thought, why do you keep having these meetings? And really, they were just to kind of try to sway, to sway things to go his way for the better of him, to take the heat off him, but still play, kind of like playing both sides.
Yeah. This is probably a stupid question, but who was the president? I don't even know.
I don't remember.
LBJ Johnson.
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
I thought
I didn't think he was a very good
He
president.
took over the chair after Kennedy got assassinated.
Gotcha.
Okay. Well, to be fair, just to give him a little bit of credit, I don't know about credit, but to put it in perspective, Johnson got a really tough gig having to take over as president after John F. Kennedy was assassinated.
Okay.
And so he was thrown into a very tough situation.
Okay.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so you're sitting as sort of a second fiddle, and John F. Kennedy had such a great legacy as a advocate for civil rights, as an advocate for equality. And so, and you're sort of sitting behind the scenes, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into the spotlight, and you're forced to try to carry on in that same type of vein as it'd be like following Obama, because you have this trendsetter, a person that gave such a great legacy to the chair, and then you're the next person. You can't live up to that. And so it was hard for me. I'm going to give him at least that much.
Okay.
That's a good point.
I appreciate that, because I wasn't thinking like that, so that does make sense.
Yeah, and I'm a little older, so I have a little bit of a different view on the whole thing. The movie was incredibly hard for me to watch, because I'm a black male. I grew up in Atlanta, Georgia. My parents they graduated from high school in 1965. My father did. My mother graduated in 1966. Both of them graduated from segregated high schools. They had just began integrating the Metro Atlanta schools at the time that my parents reached graduation. My father did not have an opportunity to switch to an integrated school. My mother could have transferred to an integrated school for her senior year. She chose not to. So my dad worked for the King family. He actually worked as part of his role in the police department. He was a driver for the King family.
Wow.
On whenever they needed him to be. And so we knew the family very well. Andrew Young was also in the film. My dad was his head of security. When Andrew Young was mayor of Atlanta, my father's role in the police department was the head of his security detail. So these names in the film, Abernathy, Young, and John Lewis, they're household names to me. And so
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
it's a very intimate setting to look at their young lives and the things that they went through. And I knew the stories, but to see them that vividly portrayed and with it was a powerful story for me. And I admit, I avoided Selma like the plague. When it came out, a lot of my friends and my family, they all went to see it, and I didn't, because I just didn't want to. I didn't want to be mine, and that's what my family went through. But,
Yes.
So was this the first time you saw it?
It was the first time that I saw the film.
Oh my goodness.
It was incredibly well done.
Yeah.
The storytelling was fantastic. And I know we weren't able to comment on the voter registration scene, but Annie Cooper walking into that that voter registration, that having to actually sought to recite the preamble and the polling. It's horrific, the whole thing. And just to think that, yeah, things are still hard for minorities in this country, but it's a long way from how hard the 50s and the 60s were. So we can sort of take pride that things are moving forward. Time is slow, change is slow, but we can have a society where everybody is included and where everybody's able to work with one another. But that's up to us to reject ignorance, reject hatred, and be better. And do it in a calm way, do it in a measured way, and Martin Luther King and the SCLC, they did things in a measured way, and that is what I enjoy watching.
Yeah, he was just so poised, and he was proactive instead of reactive, and I was so impressed. I thought to have that level of composure over topics, issues that are so heartfelt and mean so much to you. He was phenomenal.
I can't. Sorry. One of the things that made me so upset throughout the whole film is, Martin Luther was so poised and well-spoken and so focused on nonviolence and just trying to create some change. And every time, some jerk would come by, and like in that scene where they first got to Selma and they were doing it like a sit-in at the courthouse. And then the chief police officer or something comes over and then ends up, taking that woman down to the ground, and there was almost a fight. It's like, hey, this person is just trying to create positive change in a nonviolent way. So you reacting like this is not acceptable. It just really got under my skin.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we can be such jerks to one another, and we have our own baggage. We learn that life is a certain way, and when anyone tries to take us out of our comfort zone and say that no, things should be, consider that, and then a lot of times our first response is anger, and that comes out of fear breeds anger, and I understand that.
That's true.
Way of life, and
I feel like it was a threat.
Coming and trying to change the way that we see things, change our lives. I'm scared about that, and that fear leads to violence, and that's unfortunate. We should do better.
Yeah.
So, how do you guys throughout the movie think that Martin Luther King or any of the other leaders created and inspired a shared vision?
I
know that my favorite scene was the scene. It had them all in the. I guess it was a meeting space in a school or something, and John Lewis and the other man, I think his name is Foreman. They were the head of the student nonviolent coalition, and the SCLC are coming to town, and King and all of his allies were there, and you sort of got the sense from the SMCC, especially Foreman, that they felt that King was trying to glom in on what they had already done in good work, and so they were very angry about them coming in and saying they're going to take over the leadership of it all. And you heard Foreman say in that scene that, well, we've done good work, done grassroots work, we've been in the community, we've been spreading our message. And then that caused a little bit of an argument between him and King's second in command with the SCLC. And then King had to step in, and he said, "Well, yeah, you've been in the communities. You've really brought Black consciousness to the issues that that we're facing. We're here in Selma and as Black people as a whole. But what I'm trying to do is raise white consciousness. And so the measured response that he had by go one thing to do was to bring tell it put a face the part of the Black voice where people in their homes, white or Black, could see what was actually happening. And that really resonated with me because it was sort of like investing when we talked about Malala and how important her father was to her mission for bringing equality to women in Pakistan, because it's okay when the people that are oppressed understand what's going on. The people that are oppressed already know what's happening. But it's when the oppressor puts a hand up and says, yeah, this is wrong. And Malala's father being a male saying that, yeah, the way we treat women is wrong. That really was that's how you move big progress toward understanding and having an honest dialogue about issues that we need to solve. So King in that thing was really trying to get followers and all of his people within the SCLC. We and so either we're involved, but that's what I think is having other people or everybody understand their place in the solution.
Absolutely. That's a really good point, bringing Malala back to it, and her father with being able to stand up and say, we don't treat women right. So that's awesome. That's a really good point. How do you guys think that others were enabled to act during the movie?
I think some of the people that were there in his command, his team, I think they might not have stepped into his role if they or that role they were in at all if he wasn't so inspiring and people didn't believe in him because he was so charismatic and intelligent about how he handled things. I think he inspired them so much that they felt confident to be, his first and second in command and his team, as well as the groups of people. He inspired even the white people who knew that what was going on was wrong. They showed up for the march. They showed up to be on that side where, you saw the priest lost his life, from white men because they were so angry that they came and supported everyone in the march. And I feel like he inspired so many people in so many ways at different levels.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, when they were on the bridge and they moved to the side of the road to let them through, and then he kneeled down and prayed, and then he decided to turn around. That was shot. I wasn't expecting that at all, and everyone followed him, even if they didn't believe that that if he was doing the right thing. He didn't want to put all those people in jeopardy because he thought maybe it was a trap or whatever. But he was just that was a true leader right there, by doing that. And then when the priest came out of that coffee shop and they were or some restaurant or something, and he was talking to his friend, and they weren't mad at him. They traveled all that way to march, and they didn't get what they didn't do what they planned on, what they were planning on doing. And they weren't mad at all. They just said, you know, he owes me a bus trip home, and then he lost his life after that.
I know.
So that was really hard too, because this is all based on true. This is all true, right? So like, Aaron Priest really did lose his life. Like,
Correct.
It's hard. That's hard. I mean, that was hard to watch. The whole film was really hard to watch because it was all true. But he was a true leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the ways, as I was listening to Martin Luther King talk to all of his constituents, I really think that he kind of enabled others to act, not only like through his speeches and being inspirational, but also because he laid out criteria for how to act, you know. So he had the rallies and the marches, but one of the things that he said was negotiate, demonstrate, and resist. And made a point to say, you know, all nonviolent. If we become violent, then we're just giving them what they want. So I think that really helped enable others to act as well, because he laid out what the expectations were and why.
Sure.
Yeah, I agree.
Agreed.
So let's see here. Let me check our time really quick. It looks like we have about another 9 minutes. Oops, what am I doing? So I'm gonna move my laptop charger because my laptop wants to die and I don't want it to die because that would be terrible. So what else do you guys want to talk about regarding the film or the charter or anything like that? I'll be right back. Now I'm gonna fall over. Okay, laptop.
I didn't get a chance to watch all of those, at least yet. She listed a whole bunch of other videos in our group assignment. Did you guys get a chance to watch any of those? No.
No, I had way too much going on for that.
I know. I was like, I hope we're not supposed to watch all of these, because
I think I felt emotionally drained when I saw some of them. Just at a glance, like, I did not want to watch some of them. But I mean, they seem interesting. I haven't
maybe
had
at a later point or something.
time or energy.
Energy is the big thing. I've read accounts of Bloody Sunday, and it was not a great thing. It was a horrible.
Well, just by the name, I knew, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to get emotional. I don't want to cry. I don't want to get angry and upset about it. The movie already had me just, you know, almost kind of in a trance for a while after I watched the movie. So yeah, when I saw that title, I was like, no, I'm not going to tackle that.
Agreed.
Understandable.
It's tough, but it is one of the defining moments of the civil rights movement, and it helped springboard what happened after that. It was really the big moment before everybody ended up at the March on Washington. So it's an important moment in the civil rights movement, and I'm glad that they tackled it. I'm glad that the producers of the film tackled it well.
Okay.
I might have to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
How are you guys doing with the other book? That is not my type of reading. And I am like struggling through that book. The Blue Latitudes with Captain Cook. I can't, when I read, you know, I can't picture myself. I can't picture it there. It's just, I had to keep rereading. I felt like I struggled with the discussion board. So I'm like, oh man, I'm so much better with the other book, with the leadership.
I like that. And I'm not a big fan of the new one yet.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
I made the mistake of trying to read all of the excerpts that she had listed there. And I went back and I was like, this is impossible, just feeling like really frustrated about this week's work. And then I was like, oh, it says read 20 pages. And I did most of them. So I was like, cool. I could have not read the entire day, but whatever.
Yeah, it's tough reading, and I guess there's something there, but not getting a lot from it other than, by the time the third voyage came around, Cook was a little bit of a drunk. He seemed a little bitter about having to live up to the expectations of being this famous guy. I feel bad for him.
Yeah, it didn't end well.
No, it did not.
Did anyone take the Blue Latitudes? I don't know if it's actually a test or challenge.
The challenge, I haven't done that yet. Okay. But I did do the say, do what you say you'll do quiz or whatever.
Yeah, I did that last night.
Yeah, that was due today. And I found it really challenging just to go back through the Blue Latitudes book and try to find different information. Whereas in the Leadership Challenge, we read 2 consecutive chapters. And so it's much easier to go back and be like, oh, I remember where that was. Or I think I highlighted that. Or to be able to find it, But trying to sift through the whole Blue Latitudes book where I wasn't sure what I was looking for or what to highlight, I was like, okay, it's going to take me way longer than it should.
Yeah, me too.
Awesome. Well, I think that's about it for today. So I will go ahead and end our stream unless there's anything else that you guys want to talk about.
Nope, I think that's good.
I think we covered it.
Perfect. And then I'll email you guys the link so you have it. And then I guess we'll see each other again on text message to find out when our next meeting is.
All right.
Okay.
Fantastic. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye-bye.